Okay, thank you so much. The next slide here. Now has predicted that by 2026, 80% of enterprise software will embed GenAI. If we check now, it's almost more over 80%. How many of us use technology tools, even in the office, in the enterprise now, that does not have GenAI embedded one way or the other? We use CRMs. I don't know of any CRM today that does not have GenAI embedded. If we use tools in our offices, can we please share in the chat? What tools are you using in your office today? Does it have GenAI embedded or not? Or is it not allowed? I know some enterprises are still skeptical about adoption, but can you share your experiences for those that work in enterprises or whatever you are doing, your experience with GenAI, not the consumer like ChatGPT and the likes. We're going to come to that, but anyone have experience working with software, enterprise software that now have GenAI embedded in them? Team Copilot, yes. Microsoft Teams, okay. Odo is the CRM. Azuka, thanks for sharing that. Let's move on. I've seen lots of tools, even regular Zoom. Adobe, thank you. Adobe, you can even edit for photography. I'm trying to read a PDF document. Do you want me to summarize this document for you? Figma, all these, they have GenAI embedded one way or the other, because that's the way to go, really. If this is a reality, then AI literacy is a core business analysis competence. I'm talking to majorly BAs. I know we have non-BAs, and this would likely apply to your profession. If we're having all these tools with GenAI embedded in them, then AI literacy is very important for every business today. Prompt engineering is a key component of that AI literacy, which is what I'm focusing on more today during the presentation. AI will not replace you, but BAs who learn to work effectively with AI will definitely replace you in the near future if you don't step up and learn how to use these tools effectively. We are using it today, but I don't believe we are using it as effective as we should. I was also in that space, growing, I'm learning, and I'm moving away from that space of becoming a more effective user of AI. So no, I need to show this very well. So this slide to show up very well. So you can decide to remain the traditional BA where you are doing every BA work manually, like you are doing farm work. It's your choice, right? And maybe if you are spending too long on a BA task and you have another colleague that does it faster and he's getting promoted, or someone out there has the kind of skill set your boss is looking for, or you want to become an AI-powered BA that is doing things more effectively. Organizations are paying for these tools already. They need people that know how to use it. Otherwise, the investment will be wasted. So sometimes we might rely on organizations to train us, but I know as business analysts, one key trait of BAs, we are lifelong learners. Learning is a key skill of a business analyst. When we learn, we are able to support and teach others as well. So it's your choice, okay? And I look at sample, I took a snapshot of some of the tasks and activities we perform as business analysts. You can continue to do it the traditional way, the regular manual way, or you master how to use AI tools and begin to use AI, collaborate with AI to work with you, okay? We're going to talk more about this as we go along. My goal today is to equip you with the basic knowledge to leverage your existing skill set and experience, then combine it with the power of AI to boost your productivity, to boost your earnings, because people are making money in this space now. A whole lot of money on the table for the taking. Also to elevate your impact and stay competitive. It's very important. I'm not promising you that you'll be an expert after this session, but I want to open your mind for those that are very new in this space and show you what things are possible. Share with you some of the things I've done and what I think you can start doing. It's a journey. I have not mastered prompt engineering or how to use these tools. I'm learning and I'm growing. So about me, for those that do not know me, my name is Oge. I have over 15 years experience working as a business analyst. I have experience working in both the public and private sector. Yeah, my experience has spanned project management, change management. I've been part of that have deployed technology solution across big organizations. Today, I've been more interested. I'm sorry, 1 minute, please. Okay. All right. Since AI became more democratized, I've been very interested, learning, applying, building some AI solutions and supporting organizations to continue to, solve real business problems leveraging this technology. I'm also a college professor, also the lead coach here at Pollard Learning, and I continue to support others. And oh my goodness, it helps me become better every day. I have some certifications that I've acquired over the years, displayed here. Yes, I'm married to my friend of over 20 years. We have 3 children together, for those that are meeting me for the first time. Okay, for today, we're going to be talking about GenAI and LLM technology. We'll look at prompt engineering, the very basics. Don't worry, you can learn. Then we'll talk about the anatomy of a good prompt. We'll look at chain prompting. I'll talk to you about custom GPTs, what they can do, and they're also called AI assistants. Then we'll talk about responsible use of AI and then privacy. GenAI and LLM. I know we hear this a lot and people use it interchangeably. I was also using it interchangeably. Preparing for this webinar helped me learn better and clarify the whole lot of things. So we're all learning. So GenAI, as you would hear, it is general term for AI systems that are designed to recognize pattern in large and complex data sets. So they've been trained with so many data on the internet, data out there. So they are trained, these systems recognize patterns. And it's important we understand this definition. LLMs are a subset, if you see the diagram up here, LLMs, large language models, are a subset of GenAI systems. And the main difference between GenAI and maybe predictive AI is that GenAI generates completely new content, right? That's why it's called generative AI. And LLMs are a subset of GenAI. They can process and generate human-like conversational text. Their capabilities are centered around natural language processing. If you've seen NLP, natural language processing. I'm saying this because I'm going to use these terminologies a lot as we go along. That's why I'm trying to lay this foundation. So in essence, all large language models, LLMs, are GenAI models because they generate new content, but not all GenAI models are LLMs. Okay, it's important we understand that distinction. That said, there are lots of consumer LLMs out there. And why do I describe them as consumer LLMs? Because they are available for general public use. You see these logos, I'm sure we're very familiar with them. So please, I want some interaction in the chat. Which of these LLMs do you use regularly? Which of them do you have? Maybe free, if it's a free version, please, I would love to know if you are using the free version or the paid version. I want to gauge how well we use this. And maybe you can also type in the chat how often you use this, okay? Tolu uses Copilot, Helen uses Gemini, the free version, okay? Thank you. How often do you use it? What's your level of interaction with this? Maybe 1 or 2 use cases, what do you use it for? ChatGPT paid uses Claude at least twice. Ikechukwu uses GPT, Gemini. I've not seen anyone mention Perplexity, Manus, or Grok. I don't have a Grok account. I've never used it, but I've heard good stuff about it. I use Gemini. I use ChatGPT, Claude, but I don't use Claude as regularly as I used to use it because Gemini has really come up strong. Tolu uses it for language. Oh, with non-English speakers. Tolu, where are you located? DeepSeek is another one. Edmonton, maybe you're translating French and English. Thanks for sharing that. Okay, maybe I have not worked enough with people that speak other languages, so I don't use it for that purpose. Now, these tools are accessible to us today. So wherever we are right now, I don't know anyone in any part of the world that cannot access at least the free version of these tools. But what I realized that some of us are just scratching the surface, we're not using it. So I had some interactions with my CBAs working on the project with me, and they were supposed to do some research. They came back to say, oh, we're not finding this information. I just went on ChatGPT to say, oh, find me X, Y, Z. And I shared the link with them and they were like, oh, wow, does ChatGPT also do search? Some of these tools, we have them, but we don't even know. Even though I know there are some capabilities that are not available on the free version, there are some very basic things available on the free version we're not even aware of. And then, of course, we'll get to the story of prompting very soon. So thanks to the rapid democratization of these tools, access is no longer an issue, at least in this part of the world. Maybe there are some places where access is still a problem. The real gap is AI literacy. We have powerful tools, but we do not know how to use them. That is what I've experienced with people around me. Having these tools means nothing if you don't know how to think with them, work with them, and even challenge their output. So AI literacy is what really turns access to these tools into an advantage for each of us here today. Okay, I will take any questions if there are any while I try to switch my slide at this point. Please, I would stop sharing briefly, but my slide will come up soon. Feel free to drop your questions. Lucia uses it to research economic policies. Please, I hope we all have access to a computer because we are going to have practical demonstration sessions today. If you've not logged onto your computer, you might have to get there because I know in 15 minutes time, we'll get to the practical sessions. We'll be sharing, we'll be testing different prompts. I'll provide you with a prompt using our prompt framework. So please, if you don't have a computer, it would be beneficial to get one. Otherwise, maybe you can still use your phone, but I know a computer will be better. We've talked about definitions. Let's get to the real work. To use these tools effectively, we need to understand how they work. Let's quickly take a look at that. Systems do not think. They've learned patterns and predict what the next likely thing will be because they've learned patterns over time. And what's the implication of this? Can anyone share quickly? It took me a while to understand this. It took me a while to understand this fact about LLMs. And does anyone relate to this? Do you understand this? Have you thought about how LLM works? Please, I need some interaction. Thank you. Lucia says it could be wrong. And Helen says, my AI cannot be wiser than myself. Yes. Thank you, Lucia. It means AI could actually be wrong because what they are doing is predicting patterns. Then we can't just ask them random. If we ask them questions like we're Googling, it would only predict as much as it can. So LLMs like ChatGPT, Claude, they don't understand context like a human being. They generate the most statistically likely next word based on their training. They do not have deep comprehension. So outputs may sound smart, but they lack depth or accuracy unless carefully guided. It's important to know that LLMs echo patterns from their training data. And this means they can unintentionally reinforce bias, hallucinate, or fabricate answers when uncertain. You cannot trust the output of an LLM. You must verify, refine, and guide it. It's important to understand this because that's why prompting is very important. A prompt is just the input we give AI, generative AI. So if I use AI, please understand with me that I mean GenAI, just to keep it simple and short. So a prompt is just the input we give to GenAI, so to instruct it on what to do and how to do it. It's very important, on what to do and how to do it. Prompting is that, I call it a skill. It's a skill of communicating effectively with AI. Now we understand that it's just a pattern predictor. We now need to know how well to guide it, how well to communicate with it to give us the best output for whatever work we are doing. I'm trying to, yes, I had to intentionally put this slide here. Prompting is not Googling. A prompt is not just a question, it's a way you communicate with the model. You have to be very strategic with your prompting to get the best out of something that is just a pattern predictor. So let's talk about the key components of a prompt. There are two broad components of a prompt. The first is the instruction you give in the prompt, and the second is context. So here I would say context in when you are prompting is very, very important. It's very important. So why does prompting really matter? A prompt is not just a question. It's a way you are communicating with the AI. That's why it matters a lot. Prompting is important because LLMs like ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini do not understand words. They are just pattern predictors. They predict based on probability. So maybe you've heard of probabilistic solution and deterministic solution. Deterministic solution have been programmed to do X, Y, Z. So you can almost ascertain what the response will be or what the answer will be, but probabilistic, you can't really guess. And that's why if you put the same prompt into an LLM 10 times, it will give you 10 different answers. Okay, so my slide is moving too fast. Let me just use my mouse here. Prompting is important because AI cannot infer your intent. They depend on how you express it. It depends on you. Your outputs are only as good as your prompt. The same thing we've heard of garbage in, garbage out, it still applies here. So there are common mistakes that lead to poor output, and some of them are giving it very vague instructions. Googling is not the same thing as prompting, and we're going to look at some examples and a vague prompt and an optimized prompt. If we don't give AI context, it would guess. Remember, it's a pattern predictor. It would just try to predict next. And when you give it too many tasks at once, you confuse it and it will only give you shallow responses. And that's why some people have used AI and given up on AI. If you also lack specificity, it would give you off-target results. If you do not define the format or guide it on how you want the output, you may not like the output as well. If you do not define a role or tell it how to sound, it may lack clarity or it may not sound the way you want it to. Some of us may have tried to create content on social media and the way AI is saying it. Or I have a very good example. I use Gemini for my business. So I have AI embedded across all the tools, emails, and all of that. And sometimes I don't want to take the stress of thinking through an email. So I tell it to suggest a response to an email. And man, because I didn't give it context, I just said respond to this email, no context. If I click send based on the response it gives me, I'm sure the person on the other side will be like, is something wrong with this person sending this email? So if you don't define the role and the tone, you wouldn't like the output. And sometimes you need to iterate, guide it, prompt it even further. If you assume AI thinks like a human, you will get misaligned expectations. These are common mistakes that lead to poor output when we use these tools. Okay, now let's look at some examples here. So this is an example of what I call a vague prompt. You say, tell me about climate change. How many of us have been guilty of prompting AI this way? Just ask it one random question like we typically ask Google. But it can be better, say, explain 3 major impacts of climate change on agriculture in tropical regions with examples from the past. We'll notice that with this, we've provided more context and even more scope rather than say, tell me about climate change. Now you are bringing it down to say on the impact on agriculture in tropical regions, and you're asking it to give you 3 major impacts. An even optimized prompt can be like, I'm preparing for a job interview at an agricultural research lab in so place. Again, you are providing more context because the lab could be anywhere in the world. I have a degree in ecology, but a little background on climate change. Summarize 3 major impacts. This is a better prompt. I'm going to give you examples and we're going to type it into our ChatGPT or whatever LLM you are using and we'll compare the output. Fumi, I'll need your help. There are some examples in the Google Doc. We'll drop it in the chat for people to try out. So now let's talk about how prompting actually works. Again, we've talked about how LLM works. So we need to also understand how prompting works so that we can appreciate this and use it more effectively. If you understand this, if you remember this all the time, you take prompting very important and master LLMs predict the next best word based on your prompts. They don't think, they don't know, they guess more like. Your prompt is always your instruction plus your context. The LLM uses your session history. So you may have conversation in a particular chat window, and then you come back to continue conversation there. It usually references your history, your session history. So it's important you also know that. And it's important because it refers to it to continue the conversation sometimes, and then it also influences your output. Sometimes I would open a chat window and I'm talking about XYZ. And then I come back to that same chat window and I'm talking about ABC. If I'm not careful, my earlier session would interfere with the current conversation I'm trying to have with the AI. Let's talk about the anatomy of a good prompt. This is what I've summarized here. And this is for basic prompting. When it becomes for more complex system, there's some other information you can include here. But for our purpose, knowing these 8, I personally do not use these 8 all the time when I prompt, but it's good to know them. So let's talk about each of them and understand how they work. Don't worry, you're going to get the template. You just plug in the information you need in the template and use it over and over until you master it. The first element of a good prompt is a role. You need to tell AI who to act as. It's important to tell AI who it should act as. Examples like business analyst or process improvement consultant. And why is this important? Because it helps the AI adopt the right perspective of voice. So it can either be an engineer, a chef. You need to tell it who to act as. The next is context. So the context explains the situation or purpose of that task. A good example here is you are preparing for a stakeholder workshop, and this is the context. You are giving it context to do the work. So first of all, you've defined your role. The next is to give it context. Or you could even say, this is part of a requirement elicitation session. Now I'm using these examples again because I expect I have more BAs on this session. If you're not a BA, pardon me, but your example can also be slightly different. And why is this important? Because it gives AI the background to tailor its responses. So the next is the tone. The tone helps you set the communication style. Do you want it to sound friendly, professional, casual, and all of that stuff? So example is that use the formal business tone, depending on your audience, because it's very important. You could also say, explain in simple terms like I'm new to this. Why does this matter? Because you want the response to match your audience. If you are preparing for you are preparing a document or presentation for executive, your tone will be different from if you are talking to maybe end users or maybe let's even say technical users and non-technical users. So you need to define the tone it should use. Also provide data, if any, depending on the work you are doing. For example, if I'm trying to write requirements and I've been into some elicitation meetings, I've had some conversations with stakeholders. When I want to prompt AI for a particular task, maybe to write out the requirement, input data I've gathered, to add more context to AI. It could be user feedback, it could be meeting notes, it could be meeting transcripts. If you can provide all of that, the AI would give better result. I have an example for us here today. So add any information you want AI to work with. It could be a stakeholder feedback, it could be meeting notes. And why is it important? It adds additional context to guide AI. Also provide rules and constraints. This will guide it. It gives clear instruction on what to allow and what not to allow. Examples could be keep the response under 150 words, avoid technical jargons. So give it rules, guide it. You are the guide. So see AI as a junior intern in the office, someone new that is attached to you to work with you. You have to guide it to work with you effectively because you are the expert here, okay? You are the subject matter expert. Guide AI to work with you. It's important because it helps keep the output usable and on point. Be direct about what you want the AI to do. Assign it a task. Examples could be list the meeting action point. Maybe you are trying to summarize the meeting of meetings. Be very specific about what you want it to do. Do not be vague. Sometimes this is optional but helpful. Provide a format or example to work with, how you want your output to be presented. Example could be use bullet points. Could also be provide it in a table. You can even upload a sample template and ask it to give you your output in that format. It helps AI stay consistent and structured. Finally, I like doing this. Confirm. Invite AI to ask you clarifying questions before it proceeds on the task you have assigned it to do. For example, before you proceed, ask me any clarifying question if anything is unclear, because sometimes you may provide so many information, but before you want it to proceed on that task, you want it to confirm that you understand and even reiterate the instructions to you. So I do this, and then what this does, I invite AI to ask me more questions that will give it even more context to do the work more effectively. Why is it important? It helps reduce misinterpretation and guides it. Now I'm going to pause here. So which of these elements have you been incorporating in your prompts? Or maybe let me back up a bit. How many of us just in our day-to-day work as business analysts, and if you're not a business analyst, whatever work you are doing as an accountant, as a project manager, as a change manager, how many of us use it? Do we incorporate any element of this? Please share in the chat which element of these components you incorporate. Again, I'm just going to put it up here for us to see. So we have the role, context, tone, input data. Sometimes you don't have input data, rules and constraints, instructions, formats, and asking it to confirm. Okay, Miriam says, I do. I have told it to act as a role. Thank you, Miriam. So who else? Which one do you use? I use all save for confirming. Okay, thank you so much, Miriam. Thank you so much. I want to know, what are you hearing for the first time here today? I need more interactions here. We have over 37 people on this call, and I only have 3 people. Are the only 3 people using LLMs today? Funke says, I do. I use task instructions. Thank you. Jade says the same. Confirm is the first for me. Thank you, Miriam. Yes. I tried to use this. Amy said, I use pretty everything. I'm currently teaching AI. Thank you so much, Olayemi. Yes. Structure, process, and suggest response. Tolu is saying I'm hearing clarify for the first time. Yes. Initially, when I started using AI, I don't clarify, but I learned it from one of my coaches, and it's really changed it for me. So what I've learned is that it helps AI process the information, identify any gaps, ask, confirm from me before it goes ahead to perform that task. Okay, let's move on now. For me, please, I'll need you to share the link for the prompt template. It's time for us to practice prompting. Do you have access to the prompt template? I want you to put it in the chat. Watch out in the chat, please. I'm going to share some things with you. We're going to look at a poor prompt and an effective prompt. And we're going to put them in the chat in our LLMs, and you're going to tell me the difference or the output. So I have one here. Let me see if you can see this screen here.
Template is already in the chat.
That's okay. It's for keeps. Everybody can take it. You can make a copy and keep for yourself. But for us to do this exercise, what we need, we don't need the template for now. Walk through the template later. What we need to, okay, let me just do a quick walk through the template so that we see what we have. This is to help you practice. You just need to click, make a copy for yourself. It's asking for access. I'll work on the access, but just keep the link. So what I did was to click on make a copy. Please would work on the access. It's for you here. This helps you to remember what I've showed you today. You are working as you provide it with the context, define the tone. If you have input data, provide it with the input data, the rules, the task instruction. I don't use all of this all the time, but I definitely use role, context, input data, rules sometimes, task instruction, and confirm. Okay, I need to put the last one because I added it this morning. This is for you to keep, to practice until you get better. Over time, I don't even prompt AI generally because I've built some AI assistants with this prompt. And I will show you some custom GPTs I've built. You will follow the same principle. The AI agents we use that are built for clients, some can be more advanced, some can be very basic. If you are on an AI project, part of what you will review as a BA is the prompt. The difference between AI solutions and the normal software solutions we've worked on in the past is that we write functional requirements to define the behavior of those software solutions. But for an AI solution, what defines the behavior of that AI solution is the prompt. And that's why we cannot be ignorant as a BA how to write prompt. Remember, our role is to translate. We go to the business, they define how they want a solution to behave, in this case, AI. And then we're supposed to document it right? Work with the developers or the engineer to define it and then test the behavior of that AI solution. So understanding and knowing how to write prompts so that if the developer has written a prompt and you are not understanding it, or you would cause that AI not to behave the way it should behave, you can flag it before they waste time and start building the solution. And this is what I've experienced, because even when you test the AI and you're not getting the right outputs, we go back to the prompts. That's where the changes are being made. Because when we build software, the normal deterministic software, you write codes. Here, AI is the code for AI solutions. I hope we understand that. Okay. So let us do our exercises now. So I have some examples here of good prompts and bad prompts. How many of us, with a show of hands, do we have our LLMs, ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude? If you have it open, please indicate with a show of hands. I'm going to do some example here. So I have a sample prompt here. Here, let me highlight it with the blue text here. So we have requirement for a CRM. How many of us sincerely has prompted AI this way? I have. I've been guilty of this in the past. I've written prompts like this. Can anyone testify to writing prompts like this? Like you're on a CRM project and you want to write functional requirements and you've heard that AI can make you write requirements faster, and then you open your Copilot or ChatGPT and you say, write a requirement for a CRM system. Please, I need interactions in the chat. How many of us have prompted AI like this? Okay, so what I need you to do is to open your LLM. We just have about 10 minutes for this exercise, and type in this as your prompt and note you can put your information somewhere, just note it, or maybe you can open another tab. So a lot of things are wrong about this based on what we've learned. It would not, we will see it for ourselves really, the output. Now, I'm going to give you another prompt which you paste in the same LLM. I'm going to give you another one here, which is better. And what I've done is to embed those 8. I've included all those elements of the anatomy of a good prompt in this one. I've optimized this prompt. So I'm also going to put it in the chat. Who wants to share their screen to show us their output? Anybody? Remember, this is a practical class, okay? We're not here to observe. If you are using your phone, please copy, paste. Who wants to help us? Anybody? While I'm waiting for someone to share their screen, I would quickly show you a custom GPT that I use and how this plays out. This is one we built for our BAs for interviewing. We're going to look at that later. I'm waiting. Who is volunteering to share their output? Please remember, this is a practical class. While I'm waiting for someone to do that, even when you are building custom GPTs and complex AI solution, you would use prompts. So this is here. You are defining the purpose. The purpose is also part of telling it what to do. You're helping, aspiring, providing context, your interview behavior, defining how we behave. It's a bit more complex than what I've showed you. But for chatting with Gemini and all, you are defining how it would behave, being very specific, telling it how it would behave, how it would integrate knowledge, feedback, and style. This is a prompt. And this is what guides the way this custom GPT would behave. Okay, who is going to share with us today? Go ahead. Can you share? Oh, I need to make you co-host. Okay. Let me do that very quickly. Any other person who is sharing their screen right now? Go ahead, please. Let's see your output.
Okay, can you see my screen? Is there anything showing on it?
So it's blank. Have you typed anything into the chat yet?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
Let me stop sharing.
I can't see it. Okay, please stop sharing and share again. Yeah, I'm going to paste. Fumi, if you can help me paste the prompts in the chat. Stop sharing and please share again. Please help share the examples, the prompt again. And this is the second one. Let's see the output for the first one, yes. And also tell us what you think. And I see you are using the paid version, okay? Good. So the first one is just write. It says write a requirement for a CRM system. It's just one, write a requirement for a CRM system.
Okay.
Let me paste it here again. Yes, I just pasted it again in the chat if you want to. And Ek is asking for the prompt.
The right requirement for a CRM system.
Yeah, so just enter. Okay, so Alara, can you tell us the output? Can you just tell us about it? Which do you prefer? Which is more specific for you? Or which response is more acceptable for you?
The first one.
Okay, it didn't provide you with a meeting summary, so it did something else. Let me share my screen.
Okay.
There's a document I should have given you, but let me share my screen this time. So let's work this together. Remember context, input data. I was expecting you to give it some data to work with. Okay, let me start a new chart here. So the first one is a requirement for a CRM. There is a sample requirement for a CRM system. If I were to do this, I would give it more context. I don't want to overwhelm you because you are starting. Now, I hope we can see my screen. Please, can you confirm? I'm going to add a meeting summary. So I have a meeting summary document. So minute of meeting, I have it here. And I'm going to, now I have given it more information. So based on the meeting summary between the sales and the IT, now it's giving me all the requirements, okay? It's writing it as user story because I think you are a senior business analyst supporting the implementation of a CRM system for this between identify and write 3 clear functional business requirements. Use the user story format. I've given it a format, right? And ensure the language is easy to understand to both technical and business team. Now, because I asked it to write 3, it only stopped at 3. I specified. I can tell it to give me 10 more. So my prompt said 3 because I wanted to keep this short and simple during the session. So certainly here are 10 additional. You see how because I provided you more data, more context, it's giving me information. The data I provided was a transcript of the meeting I had with the stakeholders. Some of us still work virtually, or we can have meetings in a team where we can record meetings. And please make sure you get permission before you record meetings. If we use Microsoft Teams Copilot, I believe I've used it to record meetings and it has transcripts. I copy the transcript and I use it for the work I do, using the secure system in the organization. Now, we're going to get to privacy and also responsible use of AI and also talk about some caveats around using those information in the AI, okay? So you see the output compared to the first prompt, it was very generic. I hope we got that. I also have other examples I can share with you and then just for your learning purpose, okay? We don't have the time now. So this is another pop prompt. You want to create a gym social media post. You say, write a social media post for a gym. That is vague too, but you can make it better, provide more context. It could be a women-only gym. It could be a gym for certain types of people. Provide it with more context. Give it more direction. We can make this available for you. Another one, you are writing a social media post for an accounting firm. You can provide more context to it. Let me make this bolder. So you can provide more context, more information to give you better output. I want to stop now and take questions before we move on to the next phase of the presentation. Anybody has any question? I would make the document available for you to download. Since you have, or we can also email to those that attended. So please don't let's get distracted. You will get that information, okay? So please, let's take questions. You can unmute yourself, ask questions. We'll just take questions for the next 5 minutes and then we go back to agenda, okay? So Frances, yes, go ahead, you can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hi, okay, thanks for organizing this. You said something about history. Sometimes it uses your past history to provide answers. Now, what if you clear it? Like if you clear the current conversation and you start a new conversation, does this still use the prior history?
Well, be careful with that, especially with ChatGPT. ChatGPT has something called memory. So sometimes when you type in information, it updates the memory, right? For example, let me show you what I have here. It says you want to clear this.
Yeah, like you start a new one. Like
a new chat. Okay, no. So you won't.
Yeah.
So a session is a session. If this is a
Okay.
new session, no, it won't make red. There's no information here.
Is it possible you share some of these prompts? Like, would you be in what is being recorded or what you share with us?
I can share them.
All right.
So what we'll do before I make that other information available, I will include those prompts underneath so you can use it to practice, look at them until you master it. Yes, I prepared all of this for you. You're welcome. Any other questions? Please drop your questions in the chat as we go on. Let's talk about chain prompting. We've looked at the anatomy of a good prompt. That's my definition, okay? People, that doesn't mean it's gospel. People have different formats. People have suggested different ways. But I assure you, if you incorporate those elements in your prompt and provide as much context as possible without sharing private information, you would get better fantastic output. And I'm eager to hear what you do with all of this knowledge and come back and tell me how that is working for you. Okay, so let's talk about chain prompting. We can use a basic prompt, which is, I'll call it a basic prompt, but sometimes we perform very complex tasks that a one go shot will not work for. So complex tasks need clear steps, not one giant request. Remember, I said we need AI to focus on a specific task per time. We need to provide a task instruction. Chain prompting is simply the practice of breaking your complex task into smaller steps and then prompting AI one step at a time. So why do we do this? You want better focus and better output. That's why we do it. If something goes wrong, especially when you are doing multiple tasks, you want to know where it has gone wrong and just zero in on that and fix it and continue your work. AI helps it to follow a logic or a structure more effectively. Remember, it's just a predictor of patterns. It does not think. You are thinking, you are the expert. You know all the steps you take to do those complex tasks. You know the first thing you do, the next thing you do. You need to guide it, okay? It works especially well for tasks with multiple parts or stages. So example here is, if you are doing research, you are using AI to do research for you. Let's say we are doing a business case. And we know for a business case, we might have to do judicial scan, do some research work, analyze our finding, and then provide some recommendation in form of a summary. You can't just tell AI to jump to the summary, right? You need to start from the research. If you want AI to help you with the research part, which I recommend, give it a prompt for that task. If you want it to do analysis, give it a prompt for that specific task, and then on and on until you get to the final point of what you're doing. So learn to break your complex task into small subtasks. For decision making, you are gathering, evaluating, and making recommendations. For process models, when you are trying to do a process improvement, we need to understand current state, review it, analyze it, map our processes, do process analysis. There are so many steps involved, and you can use AI step by step along the way. But you cannot just use one single prompt. It won't work. You won't get an effective result, I assure you. Okay, so again, these are similar techniques to what we talked about prompting. When we looked at the prompt framework, these are some of the techniques we use when we are doing chain prompting. So let's do a live demo again here. Now I'll go back to my document. Sorry, I'll have to demo this because there was a file I wanted to share. I couldn't share that you would need for this task. But before we do that, let me show you some example of chains of prompt I've built out. So I'm actually creating a small ebook for BAs. The BAs in our program are the first beneficiaries of this. I've been building out different prompts because it's taking me a long time to master some of this, and everybody doesn't need to go through that long, windy road. So I've started building this out in our program, and I'm so excited for the BS joining our September program. We will use one of these. I've tried to think of all the tasks I perform as a BA and to write a prompt template, not prompt, because context would vary from one project to the other. And so what I've done is to provide, for example, variables here, where we'll have to define exactly what I'm trying to do per project. So, but the one I'm going to use is the process improvement one here. So I have a process area and all of that. I'm going to use this. This is the BHN of prompt I've written. Process area, associated pain points, issues, and gaps. The deliverable here is a structured list of key process steps with corresponding pain points and inefficiency. And the use case, where will I use this, is when I'm doing a process improvement. For example, I'm working with a team to improve their process. I've gone to several meetings with them. I've documented, I have my meeting notes or meeting transcripts. And I want to use AI to help me rather than having to see through all of them and begin to do it one by one. I can use AI to fast track my work, right? But I can't use one single prompt. So what I've done is to build out multiple prompts. Step one, what this prompt would give me would be to review the discovery session, identify the major process steps or functional areas. I need to first identify the process steps before I talk about the pain points in each process. Just like anyone that is a process improvement expert here, you know all the phases you go through when you are improving processes. So this is what I wanted. I wanted to name the format, to give it to me in this format, and I will tell it to ask me questions if it needs more information. Let's do the first step and then we'll come back. Please, I feel I'm confusing you here. Are we clear? Are we still on the same page here? You can unmute and just confirm or type in the chat. Thank you, Vivian. So remember what we're trying to demonstrate now is we're trying to demonstrate the chain of prompts here, not just a single prompt. So I'm going to copy this. You are a business analyst. I'm copying this prompt. I've written it out because I won't have time to do it here on the spot. I'm opening a new chat window. Business analyst, experience in process analysis. I can take out all this. You have reviewed a discovery session focused on analyzing process improvements. I'm not going to alter this because of time, but if you are doing this, you need to provide your relevant context. Provide your context such as your type of process. If you have information from the meeting and all of that, I'm going to take this out. I'm also going to take away this line. From the transcript, I'm going to provide the transcript. Identify the major, I hope you can all see my screen. Okay. Identify the major, look at, I've assigned it the task and I've given it a format to use. Please use this format. I'll take this out. Ask me clarifying question. Now I'm going to provide it with my meeting notes. Another thing I do very often when I attend meetings, I write, even though I may have a meeting recorder, because it helps me focus. I take notes, but not as much as I would if I wasn't recording. I rely on AI to support me, but I still take notes because I've had meetings where I couldn't retrieve the meeting transcript. So what I can also do here is to attach a photo. I can take a screenshot of my meeting notes, making sure I don't have confidential information, and put it in here. There are so many things you can do. Now we have our prompt. We've provided our input data. It has everything in here. I've given it the task, so it's working. Surprisingly, it didn't ask me any questions. So maybe it has all the information. I was expecting it to ask me some questions. It's working on the task. If you have any questions, please type in the chat. I will pause again to take questions. Now, the thing about chain prompting is that the output of your first prompt becomes to the second prompt. Remember when we work in a logical sequence. For example, if I'm doing process improvement, first I will document the process, then analyze it, and then identify inefficiencies, suggest improvement opportunities in that sequence. So the output of one step becomes the input of the next step. Now let me grab my second. So we have our output here. I kept this very short because of our time. Let me grab the second prompt. Now, because I'm moving on to update, it has listed all the steps for me. Step 1 is the patient intake contact. Step 2 is the appointment booking, and it has described all the steps. Another tool I use there is whimsical diagram. This tool is an AI tool. It does text to diagram. I don't have a subscribed version, but I don't have a paid version right now. I unsubscribe because I'm not on a project where I need it. If I give it this information, it will typically map this out for me. So I'm just sharing another tool I use. Please use the word. Why use the word please? That's a good catch. You don't necessarily have to use the word please. And Sam Altman has begged us to stop using the word please. Okay, so allow. Now it wants to take me, it's connecting me to the tool. Let's open it. Okay, so it has taken the text and has mapped it out. Sometimes it's not perfect, but if I open it in the tool, this is the mapping for Carl AI. So you can put in text and you will transform it to a process map for you. It may not come out well. So my job is to review, refine. It's still AI, it's following patterns. Anyway, this is not what we want to do. So let's go back to our output here. Now we want to go back to the second one. Let's go back. Our next step is to get all the associated pain point issues and gaps. I've also defined the format I wanted to present my information. So let me copy this and I'll go back here. Please drop your questions in the chat. I will take your questions after. This is what I want to do. So I'm taking out all this information. I will take out context. I'll leave number 4 because I need it. Now I'm going to provide the information from step 1 here. Remember, the input of one step becomes, output of one step becomes the input of the next step. So where do I put it? So in step 1, I'm going to open bracket here and close bracket. I'll dump all this information here. Now, so while this is working, let me answer a QA. So let's go back to our question. So here is a structured root cause analysis of your process map. For step 1, remember I gave you the format. I want it step 1. I have listed the type of process is manual, the users and the role, the people on that role, the system used. It does just a standard phone system. What are the associated pain points? High risk of missed calls. So what does this help me do as a BA? It would fast track my analysis time. AI has helped me do some analysis, but don't forget, I have more context than AI. During conversations with the team, I was noting all my pain point issues and gaps. I can then incorporate it, flesh it out even more. But AI has done, say, 80% of the heavy lifting. I just need to review it and make it better. I can continue on and on, tell it that for each of these pain point issues and gaps, it should also recommend improvement opportunities. I can go on and on until I get to my final destination. And that's what you do with chain prompting. I will take questions now, if any. What information is considered private? Yes, we'll get to that very shortly. We'll get to responsible use AI. Okay, what is the name of the text? We've answered that. Azuka says, how did you connect your tools to your ChatGPT? So if you have a whimsical account, most times it would give you a custom GPT. How did I connect it? I can't remember. Either I got it through whimsical. I'm part of AI communities and we share a lot of information. So I can't remember exactly how I got it, but I can share that GPT with you. It's free if you want it. Let me share it here. I think I can. Yeah, I can. Okay, you have it in the chat. Now let's move on very quickly. We're almost at the 90-minute mark. So where did we stop? For your information, I'm using a tool called Gamma for my presentation. It's also an awesome tool. You put in your text, it creates your slides for you. You can then modify and make changes. So let's talk about responsible use. This will address your question, Alero. So again, AI does magic, right? We can provide it with prompts to guide it to give us better output, but we need to use it responsibly. If AI does 80% of the work, we need to be diligent to do 20% of the work. So AI is smart, but it's not always right. Sometimes it can predict wrong patterns. Your judgment is a filter. AI is not a source of truth, it's just a predictor of patterns. I keep saying this, it's very important. You can sign up for Gamma using that link and you get about 200 free credits to start playing with it. It's an awesome tool. You can do so much with it. But there are key pitfalls to be aware of. AI hallucinates. It may be biased because of the data that was used to train it, and you can't over rely on it. When I started using AI and started getting amazing results, I had to pinch myself to pause and review the quality of the work and validate what AI is giving me before I put it out there. Very important. Otherwise, it would impact your credibility as a professional. It doesn't show well for you as a person. It's very important for us. A lot of people rely on the information we provide to make very important decisions. So we want to make sure working with AI is good, but making sure whatever information we are sharing has been vetted and validated. you are still responsible. No matter how good the AI seems, you are responsible to review at the last line of defense before you put it out there. Training session on Thursday. On Thursday, I saw this and I said, this is a good example. Can someone show me what is wrong? Can someone say what is wrong in the image? Forget the text, just the image. And this image was generated by AI. Nobody needs to tell me, I know that. Someone was presenting and I grabbed their screen. I noted something. Can anyone see anything wrong here? Maybe the presenter was in a hurry. There was no time to do due diligence and prompt the AI to change the shoes. This is why it's important we use AI responsibly. Okay, but this is a very funny example, boys. You can imagine you are making presentation to and then you have one, maybe a man wearing a skirt. Okay, maybe in some times it's allowed, but this is not good. And the webinar had over 300 people in attendance. Again, diligence is informed responsibility. Some of you saw what we just demoed and you're excited, but you have to calm yourself down, take a deep breath, verify your output, cross-check your sources. Sometimes AI can give you wrong information. Sometimes you tell it, if you don't know, please say you don't know. Ask critical questions and do not share without reviewing. We need to understand our position and the kind of trust that have been vested on us as VAs and how, multi-million-dollar worth of decisions made on the information we present. So we need to be responsible. So how do we do this? Critical thinking. Ask yourself, does it make sense? See what I've done, telling AI to help me write the process steps, identify issues. When I get the output, I was physically in that meeting. I had the conversation with those stakeholders. I need to make sure that the information the AI is giving me is in alignment with the conversations I had with those stakeholders. Check it. Does it make sense? If you are trying to send an email or send a presentation, is this appropriate for your audience? Can I really publish this? So ask yourself those questions. Critical thinking is even more important in the age of AI. Double check your facts for accuracy. Ask questions and seek feedback if you're not sure. Compare and contrast. I have my meeting notes, my transcript, and I'm working with AI. If something is not in alignment, I need to go back to my meeting notes or listen to the recording of that meeting again to get information. Always review and edit before sharing. It's very important. You will get excited by the output of AI. I had some of my BAs testing some of the custom GPTs we are building for the upcoming cohorts. And people are like, oh my goodness, I'm so amazed. But hey, calm down, take a deep breath, review before sharing. Now, don't blindly accept the first answer. Iterate if necessary. Refer to your company's AI policy before you even start using AI. So let's talk about privacy. A lot of us were using all these tools. We're using the free and the paid one, but we're not even checking. Privacy is very, very important.
We have a question in the chats.
Will the recording be available? Yes, we'll put it on YouTube. We'll make it available before Monday. What's the difference between chats? And I think you mean ChatGPT, Whimsical, and Gamma. So ChatGPT is the regular ChatGPT here. Whimsical is an AI-enabled process mapping tool. And Gamma is an AI-enabled presentation tool. So say Whimsical is like your Microsoft Visio, and Gamma is like your Microsoft PowerPoint. I'm just saying, okay? But it's more productive, more efficient to use these tools. Let's talk about privacy very quickly. Now, we'll get to enterprise because there's this belief that enterprise are secured. So, but that's just a belief. We can't really say that much. We can't prove per se. But we use ChatGPT, we use all these consumer LLMs, and it's important we make sure we're guarding privacy, especially if we're using it for some office work. So it's important we need to understand all these privacy settings. Since I didn't even know when I was using ChatGPT when I started as a user. So for the purpose of this class, I'll show you how to check your privacy setting on ChatGPT. We have the article about privacy for other platforms. If you are using Gemini and Claude, Claude does not make you opt in by default. So here, you can give ChatGPT access to take your data as you are working with it to improve their model. You can opt in for it here, or you can opt out. It's important to understand that by default, it is turned on. So you have to come turn it off for yourself. But if you feel, oh, it's okay, they can use my data to do whatever they want. That's your choice. But know that any information you don't want to put out in the internet, like private information, when this text to image came out, or people were, putting out picture or using their pictures to generate any pictures you don't want to put out there, information you don't want to put on the internet, I would not recommend you put it in them, especially if you don't know the privacy settings of the LLM you are using. Then we work with private information in organizations. We don't want to grab that from the safe walls of our organization and throw it into the LLM. We should be responsible enough not to act that way. This chart here shows you the default privacy setting of these types of consumer LLM, so that you know what to do when you know what you are doing and what you are interacting with. It's also good we educate ourselves. We have an article around this, so you can read about it after this session. Please keep dropping your questions in the chat. I will take them after this class. I really want to end this in the next couple of minutes. We deal with high sensitive information, and we're custodians of knowledge capital. And so this is a matter of strategic risk for the organization. We need to be very responsible in guarding privacy. Those settings are available, but you now need to turn them on. Some of these LLM tools would not turn them on for you. I'm going to go a bit faster. We're giving you this replay. So before you paste anything in AI, ask yourself these simple questions. Would you include it in a public Slack channel? If the answer is no, you should rephrase it or anonymize it. What do I mean by anonymize it? If you have some data, some numbers, you might want to replace it. Okay. If you have some names, maybe you have a minute of meetings, before you throw it in here, you want to take out people's name. Those are privately identifiable information. If their names, their email, their phone numbers, their addresses, you want to take that out before you throw it into AI and tell it to summarize it for you. And I'll tell you the email, the minute of meeting I used, I asked AI to generate it for me for this demonstration session. It wasn't a real meeting, okay? Unless you're on an enterprise plan, assume everything you say to the AI will be reviewed and logged for training. Always protect your data before you put it in the LLM. Protect your data. It's very important. As analysts, we are trained to ask the right questions. Always ask questions before you act. Make sure you are doing the right thing. Make sure you are acting responsibly, because AI is not just an assistant. It's a bot that will echo inputs far beyond our screens. So it's very important what we do with AI. Not all data should be shared, even in your enterprise AI tools. So my husband works with the government. They've been doing some AI training, and there are some documents they call classified. They use Microsoft Copilot, so it is embedded across their tools. But there are some confidential documents, they can't put it in the AI. That's why you should refer to your accompanying AI policy. Organizations should have one, and that should dictate how you use AI responsibly within the workplace. Thank you. I'm going to round up very soon. I know it's way past time. Enterprise AI is not absolute immunity. Some data are inherently too sensitive to be shared, so pay attention to that. Compliance still applies. Always refer to your organization's AI policy. Even in enterprise-grade AI, never share sensitive information unless it's approved, anonymized, and risk assessed. Okay? So tips and hacks very quickly. Now, for me to use AI very effectively, I utilize the voiced feature. Let me show you very quickly. And this is my ChatGPT here. Let me open a new chart here. I have my headset. Anytime I want to work with it, I just wear my headset. So I'll turn on my microphone here. Testing, 1, 2, 3, testing, 1, 2, 3. Let me see if it can hear me. So what it does is text to speech. It transcribes whatever I tell it. Oops. So let me see, what is it? So maybe because I'm having a meeting now, but typically okay, no, it's capturing what I'm saying. I might communicate with, I tell it, oh, I want to do this, but I'm trying to refine what I'm doing. I keep talking to it, and it will transcribe what I'm doing, and it keeps working. It works awesome, because sometimes when you are typing, you're not providing as much context as possible. But when you speak, you're able to express yourself better. So please use your voice feature, maximize it. Is awesome. Then learn to grab. I also mentioned about grabbing screenshot of my meeting notes and attaching it. Of course, making sure I'm not including confidential information. Using it with AI works magic as well. It helps me save time, and I'm able to utilize these tools even more. Yeah, so I wasn't doing the right thing. So see, all what I was saying, it was capturing it. So this is how I interact with it to make my work faster. Then deep research. You can use AI to do deep research. You can, if you're doing a research, maybe you want to do a jurisdictional scan, for example, you can actually use AI to do it for you. It does detailed research beyond your regular prompting. And it scrapes the web. You can go online and get information for you. These are just a few ones I can share. Use your camera feature a lot. We're rounding up very soon. So other tools I want to recommend for you. If you have 10 minutes, please permit me to use another 10 minutes. Thank you, sir. I want to show you something. I want to show you something very cool tool I use. It's called Notebook LLM. I've been learning a whole lot. Can I go for another 10 minutes? I'll make it very quick and I will not exceed that 10 minutes. Okay, thank you. Notebook LLM. Let's see this. This tool is free if you have a Google account. Please go download it. I use it for a lot of learning. What I'm doing here, I'm test running it for my BAs for the next cohort, business analysis training, all our meeting transcript, we record all our sessions. For example, if I missed a class because life happened, I can just come in here, ask it a question about something we did in class. Maybe I'm just too lazy to watch all the videos, but I have the transcript. What is elicitation? The good thing about Notebook LM is that it does not go online to search for information. It uses the data you have provided to it. And here you can provide various information from your Google Docs, Google Slide, website, YouTube, copy text. So for our use case here, we have all the transcript recording of our classes. The information I provided is not searching the entire World Wide Web. And this can help me summarize what I'm learning. In fact, I can even make a mind map out of this. I can do a mind map. I know I've done it. So look at what the one I played with. So what it did was for a particular session around, I asked what is, it should tell me, it should make a mind map of the elicitation process. So look at it here. It says elicitation process and stakeholder management, elicitation process. I can open it up, defines the stages. So definition of elicitation. Definition is iterative information gathering, actively receive and draw out information, help stakeholders interpret requirements. So what are the stages? Planning, preparation, conducting analysis. So if you are doing any learning program and there are lots of information, you can use this tool. It's free. Please go download it today. It's called Notebook LM. It's a Google product. It gives you access to it. It has a mobile app, which I enjoy so much. You can also make it very interactive. I can decide to interact with it audio, using audio. Look at the mind map feature here. Please, I will share a YouTube video that can help you understand how to use this tool. It's awesome. I use it. I have many things I'm learning. Some of them are on YouTube. I just go there, copy the YouTube link, put it here, it summarizes it for me. I've shared the Gamma with you. I've also shared the Whimsical AI with you as well. So if you've enjoyed this session, please leave us a review. If you can paste the Google review link in the chat, please leave us a review. Thank you so much. And just a quick announcement. So if you are into change management, we have an upcoming webinar next week. This will go out in the mails by Monday. So you can join Marsha and Rebecca to learn more about change management. We'll have monthly webinars building up to our September cohort. So please be on the lookout for them. Yes, Sandra, we will send an email after this session. You get all the documents we have with all the links. I'll test and make sure you can actually download it. Then we also have programs starting this September. So if you are starting in business analysis and looking to learn practical business analysis, you're trying to get into the BA career, I'll recommend you join upcoming programs starting September 13th, also the Change Management Career Development Program. Now, one question. I still have my 10 minutes. It's almost up. Yeah, Ayomide, you're welcome. So I'm trying to help more and more that are trying to, do more than they are doing. For example, you are wondering, how can I even use AI to make money? There's so many use cases out there. I am doing it already. And there are so many things out there. I'm not doing all of them because I can't do everything. For example, people are supporting businesses, writing blogs, creating social media posts, content generation, different things, building AI to chatbots and all of that, building custom GPTs. We don't have time to demo our custom GPTs, but we have some. For me, please paste it in the chat. If you are trying to build a resume, you can use it. We've built some for our BAs. We'll continue to build more. I'll share one with you for those that want to grow their thought leadership. I'm also part of what we recommend for our BAs is to put yourself out there. When we start our training, be active on LinkedIn, share posts. But I realize a lot of BAs are shy. So part of what we're also doing is to build a team that will help them generate LinkedIn posts. How does this work? Very easy. I'll show you. All you need to do is tell it, can you write about process improvement? Hi, I want you to write a post about process improvement and why it's very important, why it's an important skill for a business analyst, and talk about some of the techniques. I want to post. This is a custom GPT. I don't have to prompt it because I have pre-programmed it. So this is what you call an AI assistant. It's been built, programmed, and told what to do, following that prompt framework I showed you, but maybe a bit more complex because I've done that. It's been programmed to think that way. So I just give it very basic information and it will create a post for me. I can now take that post, review it, make it better. So this is a post. If you don't love fixing broken things, BA might not be for you because process improvement is not a bonus, it's a job. I can take this if I like it, make changes to it, and put it out there. It's helping us with some of those GPTs. For me, please help put it out there. Thank you so much. Any questions? I think my 10 minutes is over. The meeting can end now, but if you have questions, I can stay here for another 10 minutes to take your questions. So please go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Yeah, sorry, I joined very late. The reason why I'm joining is I'm a business owner and I want to learn how to use AI to promote or advertise my business. That's the main reason why I'm joining. I don't know whether I'm in the right place or I'm joining the wrong group thing.
So what business? No, this is not for business owners, but I have one coming up for business owner before the end of the month. But what business are you into?
I'm an accountant professional.
Okay, this is not the right place for you, but I have something for you. I know I prepared one. For me, there is one prompt for accounting, bookkeeping in that document. You can paste it in the chat for her. If you can send us an email at info@Pollard Consult. When we have the one for business owners, you will get the email to join that one. So that will be more practical and brought down to the level of business owners. This is a bit advanced because I expect my dad using AI to some reasonable level.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Hi, Alero.
I apologize for the interruption. So there's a link for entrepreneur. Should I make use of that?
I will come to that very quickly. Thank you. So guys, if you are thinking of, oh, how can I use AI to start a side hustle, I'll call it that way. So you come back from your BA job, instead of flipping through Netflix or scrolling through Instagram, you can actually do something and start making small money just from the comfort of your home. I'm starting a small group where I will share resources and do training from time to time, depending on what people are looking to learn and monetize. So if you're interested, for me, it's going to put out the link. Just fill in the link there. So when we are ready, we would send out emails and then you can join the group and join many sessions we have. That is strictly for entrepreneurs, people that are looking to start a side hustle. Lara, go ahead with your question, please.
Thank you very much. You've answered the first one, which is the entrepreneurial part of it. The second question I had was, do you have example prompts for change practitioners or change managers? I didn't get you when you were giving the meaning of gamma as it's used. I know you said process mapping for whimsical, but for gamma, I didn't get what you said. So those were my 3 questions. Thank you.
You're welcome. Gamma is for presentation. That's the tool I used for this presentation. I can't demo it now, but can you put a link in there? It's very easy to use. I need a training to know how to use it. So please create a free account and try it out. Did I miss any question?
You mean I should put the
Gamma link? Yeah, the link to Gamma. Can you drop it in the chat again for anyone? Please leave us a review. If you liked our session today, tell people about Pollard Learning. We have more trainings coming up. It will be coming later before September and Dio, and expect quality training. And you're going to get emails with all the links that I've showed you today before Monday. Just tomorrow is Father's Day. I have fathers around me that we need to give some attention, but by Monday you'll get them, okay? So in the absence of any other question, thank you all for showing up here. This is almost 2 hours of your time. I do not take it for granted. If you have any questions beyond now, please send an email. I will try my best to respond to it. Yes, Eki, you will get access to that Google Doc and some of the additional prompts that I put together before this session. You'll get access to them. All right. Enjoy the rest of your weekend and happy Father's Day to the fathers on this call. God bless you all.
Thank you, Oge.
Thank you.
All
Oge.
right.
I said I don't have any questions. Thank you, but may your head not explode with information one day in Jesus' name. Thank you, Oge.
All right. Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you, Oge. But you didn't respond to the question for change managers.
Yeah, a little one step at a time. Let's fine-tune the BA ones. And when we perfect that, and I know we started using AI to create our resumes for our change managers, but it's in the works. I will work with Marsha to put that in place, okay? I can start it, but I will need Marsha's expertise to fine-tune it. So I can't give you a yes. I don't have, but if I give you the sample BA ones, I believe you will be smart enough to change things and start using it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.